Hello, Jasmine.
Hello, Ugo. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're starting a new podcast.
Are we?
Yeah. It's called Watcheando Movies. What? See it?
Watcheando movies,
Yeah. I don't think that sounds natural at all.
right?
Nope.
So we're
Yeah.
not starting a new
We're,
podcast.
we're also not Chicanos either.
How would it sound better?
Oh, I don't know, but that's a Chicano thing. But just letting people know we're not. We're Mexican. We were born in America. We're just Mexicans that happen to have been born in America.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jasmine,
Yeah.
you used to like movies, right?
I suppose so.
For like a split second.
For at least 3 years of my life.
Yeah. And now you don't.
It's so hard to watch movies.
And it's because you're depressed.
I
You entered this bout of depression, Jasmine.
I don't know. I don't know.
And Jasmine's not like reading anything. She's not consuming any content.
No, I'm not.
No.
I just watch YouTube videos.
Yeah. So I had the idea
Uh-huh.
of making you watch movies, which we had already done
Yeah.
in our previous podcast,
Yeah.
but like making this the sole focus of this podcast
Okay.
and trying to, bring back your love of film.
Culture me? Is that a word?
Nah.
Ooh,
Just trying to bring back the love of film you once had, Jasmine.
sounds
And
good.
also give you something to do
No.
because you're not doing anything.
I was going to sign up for some singing lessons.
Well, what happened?
Oh, surprisingly well. I was put on a
It's
wait list.
But or the New Mexico film.
It's
School-
like a
School of Music?
UNM continuing ed
Oh, no.
class.
Go to a different one, not UNM. Go to like a professional. That's
Oh,
not
shoot.
gonna be- yeah.
Should we not say where we're at?
Nah, it doesn't matter. We live in New Mexico.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the premise of the podcast.
Sure.
Trying to give you something to do. Trying to make you into a film buff. I'm already a film buff. I've been a film buff for 7 years, almost half my life at this point. So, when Jazmin was a film buff, she stopped like around 2011, right?
Sounds about right. 2012 maybe? I don't know.
And, I sort of almost, picked up where she left off. So we're starting this series in a year where you left off.
Okay.
And we're
sounds
starting
good.
it from there. And then the next few movies will be, consecutive years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So, Jasmine,
Yeah.
what movie are we watching today?
We're watching Django Unchained.
Django, you must face another day. Django, now your love has gone away. Lost you longer.
Spoilers, of course. Jasmine, you never saw this movie before?
No.
This is your first Quentin Tarantino movie?
No.
Well, first full Quentin Tarantino movie?
Cool.
I think you said you only watched the last 30 minutes of Inglourious Bastards or something.
I watched both of Kill Bill.
Oh yeah,
I've told you this a
I
few
forgot
times.
about that. Well, this is your third Quentin Tarantino movie.
It is.
Yeah, all right. This was my first Quentin Tarantino movie.
Sounds good.
I saw it through Redbox.
Mm.
So, what were your expectations of this movie?
My expectations were that it was gonna be a lot of blood, and
That's why you didn't want to watch it, right?
I guess, and that it was about it's in the what's called pre-antebellum era.
Antebellum.
Antebellum?
Yeah, antebellum is pre-Civil War.
Ah, okay. I don't know. I took U.S. history a long time ago. And so, yeah, it was about slavery and, well, one specific slave and on his quest to vengeance.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just read out some facts that I have right here. But here, I mean on my phone. I forgot I was going to do this and I didn't write any of it down.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So, Django is based on a spaghetti western film series called Django, which Quentin Tarantino took from. Django Unchained was released December 25th, 2012. It has an 87% score on Rotten Tomatoes, a 91% audience score, and the critics' consensus reads, bold, bloody, and stylistically daring, Django Unchained is another incendiary masterpiece from Quentin Tarantino. The film was a big awards player, as we know.
Best original screenplay,
Best
best supporting actor.
Yeah, so it was nominated for, let's
For
see.
category. Oh my god, I died. 4 categories.
Oh wow,
Best
it has
Picture.
a separate Wikipedia page for all the
Awards.
awards it was nominated for. Let me see if I could scroll down to the Academy Awards.
Best director, best picture, best original
Not best
screen-
director. So
Really?
here are the nominees: best cinematography, best original screenplay, best picture, best sound editing, best supporting actor Christoph Waltz. So it won for best original screenplay by Quentin Tarantino, and of course Christoph Waltz won for this role. He also won for Hans Landa. So he has 2 Oscars, and thanks to Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, Quentin Tarantino did not get nominated for directing this. Yeah. Anyways, gut reaction. What were your gut reactions after watching this, or after watching this?
So, let me tell you, I finished watching the last hour today.
Didn't you start it like 2 days ago?
I started on Friday.
Oh my god! Right.
This is what happened. I was watching it, and then my friend stopped by, and we chatted, and then it was just too late. Wait, I watched it on Thursday. Dang, that was a long way. Okay, well, anyways. So then I had work the next day, so then I was like, oh, I'll watch it on Saturday or Friday. I didn't. So, it's almost 3 hours long, right?
Yeah.
I kind of felt it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you didn't like this?
It was fine. I think there was elements I liked, but I feel like it was a lot slower.
That's slower than you thought it would be?
Yeah, that was gonna be a bit more. I mean, it's very like action packed, but it's also very dialogue heavy too at moments, which is not bad. But I think I like the dialogue. It's very fun and like organic in lots of instances.
Yeah. Well, I had you write a little review. Did you write it?
Yeah.
Because this is why I made you write it.
Review? I just like summarized the movie, but I'll tell you.
And your review? Like
Yeah.
that's all you did?
I mean, I'll condense it down.
Well, anyway, when I was starting off liking movies, I was writing like little reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and the requirement was 250 words. So that's what I struggled to get to 250 words, and that's sort of how I started with my writing, was through that. So I give you longer.
You gave me 300 to 500.
Yeah, which is like you're a grown woman.
Yeah.
You have a degree.
Sure.
You should be able to do that pretty easily, I think.
Yeah.
So, do you want to read out your review, or do you want to just like...
I mean, mine's a summary, but I'll just condense it down. So, Django Unchained, as you may have guessed, is a story about a slave named Django, who becomes unchained. Wow. Right? And he meets this guy, Schultz or something, and he's a dentist, but I guess being a dentist doesn't earn enough money. I don't know. I don't know why he became a bounty hunter, but he was good at it. He's supposed to also be like the moral compass of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Even though
he's the
like,
good white man.
Yeah.
Yes.
And let's see. I'm already stuck.
So,
No, I'll do it.
Okay.
Be quiet. So he's the moral compass of the story, right? I guess I kind of got that, and which is like a contrast to what Christoph Waltz was in *Inglourious Basterds*, right? Because he was this like really horrible Nazi.
He's a Nazi.
Yeah. I mean, how much horrible? Yeah, but like, so I was like, okay, there's that contrast, and then, I kind of feel like, even though, well, is Django supposed to be the lead?
Yes.
Because I feel like he's like overshadowed by
Shadowed, yeah.
Yeah, overshadowed by
Christoph Waltz.
Waltz.
Probably just your feeling.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. But I'm,
Jamie Foxx did not get nominated for Best Leading Actor, which I think is insane.
yeah, he should have.
Yeah. It's racism, man. Racism.
Probably. But even though the Doctor was a moral compass, I don't feel like he was the most moral character. I think he's just a decent, a decent person.
He treats black people like humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so there's like kind of like different acts, right? That that go through the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when he was a slave, and then his bounty hunter days, and then the Candyland plantation.
It's like little vignettes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful word.
Did you see the review I sent you?
You sent me a review.
Yeah, I did.
I don't think I saw it.
No, it was the Red Letter Media review.
Oh, that video.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
You didn't watch it?
Mm-mm.
But you saw that I sent it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they gave a pretty good review. Let's keep it subjective here, Jasmine.
Sure.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like if you write a review, you don't read much reviews.
No, so this would be hard. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought there's some entertaining aspects of it. I feel like some spots were slow. It's probably not historically accurate, which I mean, I don't know if a lot of people cared when they went.
Do you care about that?
I'm not taking it. I mean, I guess it should be reflective of the time, since it's a very like strong and like not strong. What the hell am I saying? It's a big part of U.S. history, right? And it's some of the worst parts of U.S. history. So I feel in a sense it should be accurate, but it's also, I feel like, oh, that's lighthearted. What the hell am I saying? I don't know. It should have been historical accurate. I don't think it was. I think most people know it wasn't, and I think most people were, well, not most people. I feel like there's obviously people who weren't okay with it.
That was the problem, because Quentin Tarantino, he has this obsession with the N-word.
Yeah.
It's in all his movies. And he sort of said, that was for historical accuracy. That's why this movie has the most N-words out of any movie.
Yeah.
So he said it's for historical accuracy, but like a lot of the other dialogue isn't historically accurate.
Like even like I feel like, especially Samuel L. Jackson's character, who's I don't remember the character's name. Steven. I don't think people would talk like that back in the 1800s or however long. And so I'm just like, I mean, it's not historically accurate. I don't think. I didn't go in thinking it was going to be historically accurate either. So I don't know if I wasn't. I don't know.
Were you okay with the N-word usage?
I mean, was it excessive? Probably.
Yeah.
So
that is probably how they talked back then, though.
I mean, probably. I don't know. I mean, it's not like people say gross things now when people know they shouldn't be saying gross things. I would assume people were like, yeah, that's what they're called.
Yeah, that's what they are.
What am I supposed? How else am I going to refer to the two people? Yeah. I don't think people saw it as anything bad, and people now know that it's bad. No, people don't care. People say it all the time because people are dumb.
Maybe I think it was used as like to dehumanize them, but I'm sure at some point some people were like, "Oh, I don't know that."
Yeah.
But anyways, so Spike Lee, do you know who Spike Lee is?
Yes.
Yeah, African American director, pretty famous guy. This is what he said. They asked him about this movie. Mm-hmm. He said, "All I'm going to say is that it's disrespectful to my ancestors. That's just me. I'm not speaking on behalf of anybody else." And then later he said he wasn't going to watch it. That's what he was saying. Mm-hmm. He said, "American slavery was not a Sergio Leone spaghetti western. It was a Holocaust. My ancestors are slaves stolen from Africa. I will honor them." Yeah, so there was quite a bit of controversy surrounding this film. Yeah. When it came out. I would
imagine.
I don't have anything to say. I was like 12 at the time, so it's not like I was paying attention to any of that.
I mean, I think to the casual movie goer,
they don't know any better.
I don't think they would have been super interested in like the political undertones. I think they just went to watch. Yeah.
Did very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made like, what was it, like $400 million or something like that?
I'm gonna take your word for it. Wait, I think I actually did write some things. Let's see. I also put down. Let's see. I thought the soundtrack was fun. What the hell did I write?
It grossed $425 million worldwide.
I don't know what I wrote.
What did you write down?
The soundtrack is great. Really gets me into the movie Fantastia. Fantastia. I don't know what I was trying
Fantasy?
I don't know what I was trying to say.
So you like the sort of mix of
Yeah.
contemporary music,
Mm-hmm.
like rap music.
I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, so for revenge stories, I think I still like Kill Bill more.
I think
think
this
it-
might be my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie, honestly.
Sounds good. This is like you said. I mean, I'm gonna consider it my second because Kill Bill is basically
One movie. yeah.
one movie.
That's how he intended it to be.
Also, now that you mentioned the Django thing, there's this episode of Bob's Burgers. Have you seen it?
No.
Where Bob and Jean bond over this western called Banjo.
Yeah.
No,
I
it's not-
remember.
Yeah. And I'm like, ah.
Hey, that's what this is referencing.
Yeah. Performances. Let's talk about those.
Hold up.
You're taking too
Jen.
long.
Give me 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, I can't remember what I was gonna do.
Okay, well, I'll
Do-
fill up the void.
The picture, yeah. So really quick before we break it down, what was your favorite scene of the movie?
I was about to say that to fill the void. My favorite scene was not that I don't know. This might seem weird. It'd be my favorite scene, but the most entertaining scene was when the like makeshift KKK guys are, and then
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
"Who made these bags?" And they're like,
Just made it worse.
Who made this goddamn shit? Willard's wife.
You make your own goddamn match.
Look, nobody's saying they don't appreciate what Jenny did.
Well, if all I had to do was cut a hole in a bag, I could have cut it better than this.
blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I thought that
that was
was
before the KKK existed.
yeah, but it was like kind of like an
Jonah
ode.
Hill. Jonah
What?
Hill. Jonah
Oh,
Hill. Yeah. And that was Don Johnson, by Big Daddy
Yeah.
was Don Johnson. Oh, you knew that?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you didn't know how he looked like.
I mean, as I was watching the movie, or before I started playing it, I kind of like went to
Googled it?
Wikipedia just to look up all the actors
Yeah.
to see what they look like. I mean, I kind of knew what Jamie Foxx and some of like the more.
You kind of knew what Jamie Foxx was.
I know what Jamie Foxx looks like. I know what Christoph Waltz looks like. Who else was in there? I know what Kerry Washington looks like. Leonardo DiCaprio. Blah blah. You know.
Yeah. What about your least favorite scene? Well, hold on. My favorite scene. There's a lot of favorite scenes. I watched a lot of these scenes on YouTube over and over again. My favorite scene is probably at the when Candy is all like,
Even after all that paper signing don't mean shit. You don't shake my hand.
If I don't shake your hand, you gonna throw away $12,000? I don't think so.
you want me to he's like mimicking his accent. It's just so great. So, and then at the end when he's just like, sorry, I couldn't resist. Yeah. When I was a kid, by the way, when I was like, why didn't he just move out of the way? There was like plenty of time. Instead of like making a comment, he could have walked away or something or
Yeah.
shot the guy. But now it's just like, oh, it's a movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the thing is, so I was gonna say anything, right?
Yeah.
But like, he goes in and he's telling Django, "I'm not gonna get killed because of this." Blah 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 blah.
I'm not going to die here.
Yeah.
In whatever Mississippi, yeah.
Yeah, and he. God, I mean, that
Dies.
was his own actions too. Like,
He was pretty pissed off at that point, though.
I mean, he's a smart man. He could have been smart enough to come at another time.
Plus, I think it was like, what upset him more was that he fed the guy to the dog.
Yeah. That was this trigger,
Yeah.
and I was like, I get that, but unless you're like, I'm tired of being alive. I don't know. I just feel like if you let the other guys kill you,
I think he just really wanted to kill him, though.
true. But I mean, if you want to kill him, you could also save yourself. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
You don't know.
anyways, maybe that was my least favorite scene.
That was your least favorite scene.
Because I was like, ah, damn. I mean, because I knew he died. Because I'm pretty sure I've seen that scene a few times. So I was like, Why are you saying you want to get killed? And you're getting yourself killed.
Yeah. My least favorite would probably be when they're just like going through snow in the mountains.
Oh, I like that scene.
You do?
I like those. That
I
was
just felt
fun.
like I don't really remember
That
it.
was their male bonding time.
Aw, that's
That way,
adorable.
when he was like, whatever the German
I'll
word
read this thing.
was like,
Did you cry
I teared up a little bit.
when he cried when he
I
died?
was like, he better say something.
He-
He better be like, bye.
that was like when he like that.
Yeah,
with the dead body.
that was nice.
Yeah. So now we're gonna break it down. You said you wanted to talk about performances first.
Sure, I don't care though.
You don't care? Okay.
No, I don't know.
So
I don't want. Oh, I mean,
I had a list here.
yeah. Let's
but-
go with your list.
So I was
don't
gonna
wanna
go with things that
sabotage
you're
it.
familiar with, to things that you weren't
Like
familiar with.
cinematography.
Yeah.
So I
So
can't
the
even
first
say
thing
it.
I had is writing, mostly because this won the Oscar for writing, and Quentin Tarantino is probably known more for his writing than his directing or
Mm-hmm. Sounds
anything like
great.
that. So what did you like? I know like this is gonna sound like really
So
what's it called, derivative to talk about movies this way, but this is how I talked about movies in the beginning. I think it's really accessible to talk
Sure.
about movies this way.
Sure.
Yeah, this podcast is meant for like beginners. It was going.
same. Like me, same. Like me. I was
You
gonna
like
say.
beginners like me. Yeah.
Writing. You're gonna have to help me out because what's okay?
Obviously, no dialogue is writing.
Oh, isn't it okay?
Yeah,
Um,
and story and structure and that sort of stuff. You know this stuff.
I like that. You know what?
Jasmine's a writer, by the way.
No, I'm not. I stopped writing. I started reading some. Sometimes I read some of my old writings, like that's not bad, and then I read some of my bad. I'm like, this is just word vomit. Also, I think I'm not gonna do NaNoWriMo ever again, just because I feel like it's not conducive to good writing, because you're just spitting out garbage. I think it's better to like do 100 words of like decent writing than rather than do like 1,000 words of just vomit.
Yeah.
Anyways, my rant. I really like the dialogue. I think it's very natural, and I think it sounds like how people usually talk.
Yeah.
A little bit more profane, but
Why do you think it's like that? What makes it like that?
what makes it?
Yeah.
I think because it's obviously it's not spontaneous, but it sounds spontaneous, like
Yeah.
the natural flow of conversation. It's not necessarily linear, like it goes off in tangents and stuff like you know.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, yeah, it's like that. But and we spend like a lot of time on quote unquote useless things where like they keep talking about like nonsense that we don't
Yeah.
really care. Like us audiences.
Oh,
really
you
care
know what?
about,
Another
but-
plan, like one thing of dialogue I really liked was when the Big Daddy was telling like how am I gonna treat Django or something.
And we
It's
spent a
like,
long time. on it,
and it
yeah.
was just useless, but it was great because it's
Yeah.
just that's how people talk. You're
Yeah.
like like Jerry, you know Jerry, blah blah blah, right? That's
Yeah.
very natural.
And it sort of helps
It
develop.
uh-huh. It doesn't necessarily like make it exciting or fun, but it makes it sound like natural speech.
Well, like Pulp Fiction is basically mostly that.
Yeah.
So it
I don't know, but I've seen a few clips.
It's a lot. It's a lot of. I think the dialogue is fun because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mom, like I said before, my mom liked
Weird.
this. She was like engrossed into all of this, even in those moments where they're just talking. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a good chunk where no one's like shooting anybody.
Yeah.
That's during the Candyland sequences, and my mom was just there. So it's just like I think that's like the general that he's able to make mundane conversations into something that we want to watch.
Yeah. And then, so story structure. I feel like
People say that he's undisciplined in his story structures.
I would not know. I mean, I feel like I've only ever seen like Kill Bills, and the first one isn't told linearly, right? It skips around, and I really, really like that about Kill Bill. And the second one I feel like is not as strong as the first one, because I feel like it's a little bit slower. So I think maybe, because I know Pulp Fiction's also told, right? It's not linear, like jumps around, and I think Reservoir Dogs too, right?
No.
No.
No. Oh yes, actually, yeah. It
Okay.
is, yeah.
I thought so. So I feel like he does a lot better with. I haven't seen any of his other movies, and I'm saying I think he does better than that.
You think he does better with like non-linear stuff than
Yeah.
linear stuff?
And I think,
Well, he's still. I
and
think
maybe that's just part of his writing process. Because I know there's people who write and they'll like kind of like outline, so they'll start writing like whatever chunk and then start building off of that, and like, oh, I'm tired of this one and skip. So maybe that's his writing
He
process.
cut out like 90 minutes from the movie.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I know, because I was reading something about how he had other scenes with like.
He said like one day I want to make that into like a mini series, which is like it's 4 hours. Basically, it was gonna be a 4-hour movie.
Wow.
How do you write that? It's super long.
I don't know. I mean, Kill Bill's essentially 4 hours long.
Yeah. That's crazy. But he
I thought it was fine. I don't think. I mean, I don't know much about like screenplays or writing.
yeah, you took a creative writing class, Jazmin,
I failed it.
which is more than Quentin Tarantino has ever taken. So
I mean,
that does not make you more qualified.
no.
But
I think he's just I think he's fine. I don't think there's
You-
definitely other movies I've seen that's just like blah. If that makes sense.
yeah, I think he's a.
I mean,
an
there's a
excellent
definite
writer.
flow to his storytelling. I don't know, like, what's like an example of like that I've seen that's like good, solid storytelling.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
You want
No, like, I mean, because you said that people criticize him
for
that-
being undisciplined and like tight stories would probably be like
But I also
I
feel
don't know
like
what
at
you're
this
saying.
point it doesn't even matter because that's like his style, you know?
yeah. But the some critics at this point, if a Quentin Tarantino movie comes out, you know you're gonna like it or you're gonna hate it.
Yeah.
I think with Jackie Brown, with some critics, people had some hope and be like, oh, he's tightening it up. It's more disciplined. And then immediately after he did Kill Bill. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it depends on what you want from a movie like that. Like a tight movie would probably, I can't think of any. Why can't I think of any,
I don't know.
Jazmin? Name a movie.
What's like tight, like concise, and like
Yeah, like an Aaron Sorkin, Social Network.
sure.
There we go. That's a tight screenplay. That's a tight story. Yeah, so
Like
like,
it has, I don't know. I know you don't do like the beat thing, but it has.
a lot of people do the beat.
but it like
things,
hits certain
Certain
beats that
beats,
you
yeah.
expect and makes the movie
Yeah,
flow
yeah.
well.
Yeah. And Aaron Sorkin's like really effective and like you know how we just talked about Quentin Tarantino spends time and dialogue on things that don't really matter to the story. Aaron Sorkin is the opposite, where he's constantly thinking, how is this dialogue advancing the
Yeah.
story? Yeah.
But I mean, I know people also write like don't when they do like writing tips. It's like don't have fluff in your writing. Like get to the point. But I feel like that's I don't know. I don't think you should. You should just write and figure out what your own voice is, and that's what Quentin Tarantino
Yeah,
has
that-
done, right?
yeah.
And that's worked for him.
He wrote like what's that movie with Woody Harrelson where he's like a serial killer or something?
Natural Born Killers.
Yeah, he wrote that. Quentin
Yeah.
Tarantino wrote that, and
From Dusk Till Dawn.
well, he wrote half of that.
Oh, okay.
What's True Love? True Romance? True Romance.
I
There we go.
don't know what.
So he
that one
started
is.
his career as a writer. So he's been writing a long time. So at this point,
That's
yeah.
just his writing,
just his writing.
and people probably imitate it.
He has one movie left. People try to imitate it. He has one movie left before he retires.
Is that what he said?
So it's 10 movies. That's it.
Really?
Unless you don't count that. He doesn't count Death Proof.
Mm.
I don't know why. Anyways, so that was a good discussion on writing, Jazmin. See, I knew you were.
Sure.
You know, you
Oh,
had
shit.
some experience with that. So now acting, which you don't really have experience with
I
that.
took an acting class.
You
I'll
took an
have
acting class?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot
took an
about
acting
that.
So I do have some experience with that.
Tell me what you thought about the performances in general.
I feel like, okay, I don't know, Jack. I feel like I have to preface that. So
You don't know Jack?
yeah, like I don't know anything about.
Oh, okay.
like,
I was like,
acting technique or looks good, and I could be wrong or whatever.
don't worry about it.
So I feel like, obviously, Christopher Waltz portrayed a very charismatic character and very likable.
And his beard makes him look like a gerbil.
Oh, I did not see.
You
It
know,
makes
with
him
the
look very
teeth.
handsome.
You think he looks handsome?
Yeah, he's kind of short, but
Interesting.
he's a handsome man.
You don't think Channing Tatum's handsome?
No.
Interesting taste.
No. But I think by out all the Avengers, Mark Ruffalo is the most handsome, without a doubt. Maybe just-
Oh, okay. I was like, how did we get to Mark
Sorry.
to the Avengers?
Okay,
Yeah, go
so
on.
I feel like his character was fun. I don't know. I feel like I feel like I didn't really get to know Django. I feel like I got to know more of
Christoph Waltz.
not just him, but like even was it Broomhilda? Hilda. I don't know what they're called.
You thought you got to know Broomhilda more?
Yes.
Really? I think she's more like just like a MacGuffin almost.
What?
A MacGuffin in writing movies is like an object that people want to get.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I
mean,
yeah. I don't think she's like well written. She's like a very, she's beautiful.
She's
She's
one-toned.
perfect. Yeah. She's like a manic pixie dream girl almost. You know?
Yeah. I just maybe I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Like who was Django before all of this? Like I feel like everybody else kind of had a. I mean, I guess that's just being
we saw him go from like being
a slave to being
feeling
a
like
free
a beaten
man.
down, like he's beaten down to submission, into being.
I mean, he's
like,
definitely. I mean, I guess so. No,
to
never
being
mind.
like, do I talk like a fucking
see
slave? You
the
know?
transition, right? He was very subdued and kind of shy and quiet and insecure. And I think very evident was that when he was reading the wanted sign, he was stuttering and struggling to read.
And he was out like looking at Christoph Waltz, like, am I doing this right?
To be reassured. And he was like, Christoph Waltz, okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
For a long time was like his rock, right? His like safety net.
Yeah.
I think that's why he stuck with him for so long, even though he wanted to go find his wife. And then towards the end, he like delivers this like monologue, and he's like very secure of himself. And even when he tricked the those like Australian slave drivers, or I don't know, when they're taking him to that mining place.
Yeah.
He BS'd it. He BS'd his way through.
Yeah. Smooth talk.
And just a whole different man. Yeah. Okay, never mind. I'll retake that. Django had a good
and
journey.
I think Jamie Foxx's performance is great.
Yeah. Yeah, because he definitely went from like this very shy, insecure man to a very strong, sure-footed man.
Yeah, and Leo, I think this is probably my favorite performance from him.
That was a fun performance.
Yeah, he yells a lot.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was like, ugh, disgusting. Kerry Washington, I feel so sorry. I'm just kidding.
This is like a really like...
It's a very different performance for him because I feel like he's not...
He usually doesn't play bad guys.
Yeah, he usually doesn't play... Which, I mean, I feel like playing bad guys is so much fun.
This is like a bit of trivia that's like kind of common. Like if you go on Reddit and you say this, to be like, like to make fun of you.
Mm-hmm.
So when he does the yelling scene after he finds out that they weren't gonna buy a Mandingo,
Yeah.
he cuts himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
He actually cut himself, like in real life, in
Yeah.
the real world. You know about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's he kept on acting.
And people were like standing on
And obviously, like when he like covered Kerry Washington's face with the blood, it was not his blood.
Oh, was it?
They had like cut it. They cut, and they're like, yeah, let's make that a thing then.
Okay.
Imagine, I mean,
That'd
that's
be
a workplace.
nasty.
Like you don't,
Like, you could get
you don't
sued
just
for
put
that.
like your own blood on your coworker's face like that.
Okay, sorry, I had my headphones on.
Yeah, and I think he
better.
has a lot of subtleties in this performance, in the way that he talks, and the way that he carries himself
Yeah.
as the plantation owner, and he's definitely having sex with his sister, right?
Is that the vibe?
That's the vibe I got.
Yeah, I guess so.
Where is my beautiful sister?
My beautiful widowed sister. I don't know why he had to specify. No, women don't want to. I don't know. Maybe I don't think it mattered. I feel like did it matter? Like if you're like widowed or like divorced, then I guess that divorce didn't exist. Maybe, but widowed or single is like, oh, what a spin. Like that was a bad thing.
Yeah, it was. Well, widowed was more like, oh,
Poor dear.
Yeah.
What a shame. Glad it's not me.
Yeah.
No, but because obviously, like he's supposed to be like this really cruel guy, but he also relies on like Stevens, right? Because he also seems kind of like not simple-minded, but kind of not simple-minded. What's the word? Naive.
Well, he's like he wants to present himself as an intellectual,
And he's not, right?
and he's not.
Yeah. And I mean that, and Christoph proves that when he's like the Three Musketeer thing, when he's like,
Yeah, and other times as well, because when he's like, I want a Mandingo with a bit of panache. And then Steven goes, hey, what's panache mean? And then Leo goes, panache, it's, and he points to the doctor.
oh,
And the doctor's like, showmanship, yeah, showmanship. Yeah. And that's good writing right there, you know? Yeah. And also, good acting. Right?
yeah, they feed off of each other well. I feel like that's why he casts the same people, because they kind of.
Apparently, like 90% of directing. This is what people say. 90% of directing is casting.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
he
I
cast
mean,
movies.
yeah.
And it's also like he built up a clout, where like he says that he's never had an actor turn him down. Yeah, so
That's nice.
yeah.
Is he good to work with? Like, is he like a nice guy?
Quentin,
He seems kind of eccentric.
eccentric.
And
So
intense, yeah.
you're not allowed any cell phones on set.
That makes sense.
He has this policy: if you fall asleep on the set, they'll put a dildo in your face and take a picture. I think he does yell a bit. So
He seems like a yeller,
Yeah.
but maybe not. Because what was that other director you said who yelled at Amy Adams and she was like,
David Russell.
yeah, and she's like, no, never.
Yeah. I don't think he's like that. But like he did, there was a bit of controversy 2 years ago during the Me Too era, where during Kill Bill, Uma Thurman didn't want to do stunts. He made her do the stunt.
Yeah.
She broke her neck and it was permanent damage. And also like in Glorious Bastards, he like actually strangled a girl, which is a bit like and also he does something that's not abusive, but something that he does that would scare me as an actor.
Yeah.
Is he lets you come up with your own backstory, and he goes through like all the minor actors as well. Be like, okay, what's your background, and if your background doesn't match his, you gotta come up with something else until you get to the place that he wants.
Interesting.
Which scares me.
Sounds bizarre. I was like, that's
I mean, there's great performances
Yeah.
in this movie, so that's part of directing, which I also had.
So he did acting, right?
You
He
did
did most
acting.
of them, right?
Yeah, this is Kerry Washington's first movie.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what she was before. I think she might have been a Broadway actress.
Wasn't she? She was on what's that one TV show with the president? Scandal. That's what she's most well known
Oh,
for. But I've seen
Okay.
Scandal.
I'd be more surprised if she was like a singer or something.
No, she's in.
Yeah, I don't know who Kerry Washington is. I just know her from this
Scandal.
movie.
She slept with the president. In the
Who else acts in this movie?
Samuel
Actually,
Jackson.
in the bar scene where the guy asks, "What's your name?" Goes Django. How do you spell it? DJNGO. The D is silent, and goes, "I know." That was the original actor in the Django
Oh,
series.
was it?
Yeah, so
Okay.
he's like speaking a different language, which I think is Italian because he's Italian.
Oh, I heard. I heard of like Spanish twang or
Yeah.
something.
I put
Oh
this-
no, yeah, because he
yeah.
is Italian. You're right.
Yeah. And like I put on subtitles and it just said speaking foreign language. So
That's cool.
yeah, interesting thing. There's a lot of detail in Quentin Tarantino's film that's not as obvious as that. But anyways, yeah, directing. We talked about the casting.
Yeah.
We talked about the way he directs his actors.
So what's directing? Is it just you're telling the actors?
Depends on who you talking to. You also you tell. Quentin Tarantino has this great interview, which actually put things in perspective with to what I was trying to figure out, and that was he said that he had a lunch with someone he thought directing like was this really like high above his pay grade sort of thing, and the guy Terry Gilliam, who directed like Brazil and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, he said, "Nah, man, directing is just you get a cinematographer that you want, you get the actors that you want, and you just tell them what you want, like what you see in your head for the movie, and that's it. You get the costume designers you want, yeah, and that's directing." And then Quentin goes like, "Oh my god," and his mind was just blown. Like this whole complicated thing he thought it was just, wasn't that. So that's directing, just telling people your vision and trying, to get them to mold into your vision.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what makes a good director then?
I have no idea.
Because you've simplified it to a point where I'm like, well, why would they?
So not everyone can communicate what they want. It's pretty hard. I have trouble with that. There's like describing something that's in my head. I have a lot of trouble, even with writing, which I think I'm pretty good at.
Humble brag.
Humble brag. I struggle with like trying to visualize stuff and putting it in words. So I think it is a skill that's like pretty hard.
Yeah.
So I think good directors are just people who know how to communicate their ideas very well.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
Yeah. Next, cinematography. What is cinematography, Jasmine?
Pretty pictures.
Pretty
the flow
pictures.
of the pretty pictures, I'm assuming, too.
Flow? What do you mean flow?
I don't know, like how the
How they
scenes
move?
are how the transition between scenes.
No,
blah,
that's
blah, blah.
no.
Is that
That's
sound-
editing.
Editing? Dang.
We'll talk about that later.
Cinematography. How to frame a scene.
Yeah, it's like
How to shoot a scene.
it's a shot. So a shot is just like a camera's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Pictures.
Yeah.
And then-
I've heard of them. We'll get you're very burpy
Excuse me.
today.
Yeah. It's just that, like, just the image.
Mm.
That's cinematography,
See, I
and
don't.
the way the camera moves as well.
This
Or
is gonna
doesn't
be
it?
hard for me, right? Because I guess I can spot like bland, thoughtless cinematography where it's just like they're just framing it to have like the actors and they're just doing their piece,
Well,
right?
you must have noticed, like, when Calvin Candy was shot, and then Steven
that-
goes no, and then it just like this
Oh,
zoom in.
to the flower?
No, zoom into Steven's face.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when
Yeah.
Calvin, you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Or like when Django sees his wife, and then they go, "You coming inside? You want to be in that box?" And then Django turns around, and then it does that again. Right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's
The movement of the camera, then?
yeah. It's camera work. That's what it is. It's to put it in basic terms, it's camera work.
Yeah. I don't know. That one's gonna
The
be
way that
hard.
it
I
looks.
have like.
I would consider color also part of cinematography. You did not watch this in a high quality thing.
I did
anyway,
not.
Yeah, so, yeah. I was so with that. I know cinematography is pretty hard to see at first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm picking films with distinct visuals
Mm-hmm.
to see if you can spot them. So this film up to whatever film I decide.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be movies with different visuals so that you can understand what different camera work looks like, different
Okay.
movements look like, or even like framing. But what do you think framing is?
Getting certain things in
The
the
frame,
frame.
yeah, and then like putting it in certain places. So like when he shoots the sheriff,
Mm-hmm.
and then the marshal comes out, and then it goes to them, and there's a bunch of guns right behind them, and so the way that's framed, it's like a little bit comedic, because you have the marshal like in one corner of the frame,
Mm-hmm.
and everything else is just like much bigger than him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll get the hell of this. Did you think it looked pretty at the very least?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks fine.
Got a best cinematography Oscar
Really?
nomination.
Oh.
So.
Didn't win. I'm just kidding.
So yeah, we'll see until you start noticing that stuff.
Sounds good.
Editing,
I didn't notice editing.
the
so I
cuts.
must have
That's
been
the cuts.
good.
That's the cuts in between. That's the cuts within scenes and cuts in between.
So
scenes.
what I've kind of, I want to say noticed. I've only seen like 2 or 3 his movies, right? Is that and I don't know if a lot of other movies do this. Well, they'll have like little snippets of like writing, right? Instead of well, I mean, it does kind of show the transition of time, but it also kind of.
Oh, you mean like when they're in the mountains and
Yeah,
they go after
they-
a harsh winter?
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he kind of does that. I feel like that's just
Well,
a
does a few
stylistic
times.
choice, right?
That's part of the whole undisciplined thing. I
Ah.
think but it is also stylistic in terms of like he's just gonna. I think he goes scene to scene and he does whatever he wants,
Yeah.
even if it doesn't like necessarily match.
Mm-hmm.
He's just gonna film it however he
Yeah.
wants. Yeah.
So would that be part of editing?
No,
I mean,
maybe.
what is
Maybe.
that? Is that like
Actually, probably.
when
yeah.
people don't tell you what's it called? Show don't
Show
tell?
don't tell. That's
Does that even matter?
that could be writing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could say that's editing as well.
Okay.
That sort of passage, so showing the passages of time like that. So like the whole winter thing, that's a montage,
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of editing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what a montage? I didn't explain that to you.
Yeah, I'm not that dumb.
I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where they're like explaining really slowly what a montage is.
I mean, I'm sure. I don't know. Actually, I feel like if you're not If you're in high school, you should know what montage is, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did. Actually,
did it?
montage came about during this movie. Can't remember what it's called, but it's a Nazi movie made by a Nazi to promote Hitler.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember what it's
Interesting.
called, but that's how montages got made because of that movie.
You learn something every day.
Yeah,
I don't know. Editing's fine.
yeah.
I don't know
The
much
cuts.
about it.
I think there's some abrupt cuts in between scenes. Like suddenly it just like goes, and now we're with horses when we were indoors.
Mm.
Not necessarily bad, just a bit jarring, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just remember that. Just cuts, start noticing cuts. Cuts is
good.
editing. That's what I tell my mom. She goes, "What's editing?" And then I have to go, okay. And then she's watching something and I go, "That's an editing right there." Boom, boom, boom.
Excuse me.
Usually with good editing, you don't notice it.
Yeah.
That's what people say.
Sounds good.
It's pretty hard, honestly. It took me a while. It took me how long?
7 years.
A year, I think, before I started noticing it. The first movie I noticed it in was like Cinderella. Like Cinderella, 2015 Cinderella. That's when I was like, oh wow, the camera. I can see the camera shots and stuff, and it's just, I could tell the costumes and stuff. Like, oh wow,
Sure. Sounds
it's
good.
pretty. Like, I wish I could go back, honestly, and like
rewatch
experience that again. Because now,
Interesting.
yeah. Wow, 46 minutes, and we're coming to the end here.
What is it?
We're just talking about overall negatives and what you think would need work in this movie.
That's a big, that's a big question. I ain't no one to criticize. Negatives?
Yeah. Anything you didn't like about this movie?
I mean, it was slow at times, but I don't think that's it. I think it's still an entertaining movie in spite of it being kind of slow, and it's only kind of slow.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, to the normal moviegoer, I think they'd probably find it enjoyable, entertaining.
Yeah. Well, of course. Quentin Tarantino says that he makes his movies for normal people, for working class people, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you go into the movie, like he says, people are going to be spending money,
Yeah.
and he wants them to enjoy their time.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom certainly does like his movies a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My mom probably would not like his movie.
It's because it's just too
at all.
bloody.
It's too bloody, too much violence, too much.
Do you think that
cussing.
was too bloody? This movie was too bloody?
No.
But
It's
wait,
not. It's just it's
even
it's
that
more
one
violent than bloody.
even that one scene at Candyland, the shootout at Candyland,
No.
just goes bom bom, and then that
No.
rap song.
I mean, it's exactly like Kill Bill. it's more violent than it is bloody.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite scenes as well, where like you just get like this 20-30 minutes of like tension building,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
then
it just
it
blows
just
up.
releases.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fine.
that's beautiful. Quentin does that a lot in his movies.
Yeah. And there's massacres
Yeah.
when it happens. It's just
Yeah, it's just so satisfying. He's just shooting all of them, and then like you hear, it sounds like cannonballs hitting people's bodies.
yeah.
It's great. It's a great movie. This movie's fucking awesome, man. Quentin makes awesome movies, honestly. Like, I remember I was just so obsessed with him in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom thought I actually like. I wrote a play in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and she went to go see it, and I like can you tell who my inspiration was? And she goes, Quentin Tarantino. I was like, damn right.
Sounds good.
Yeah. No, I'm not so much inspired by him, but it's great movies. He makes fantastic movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I wouldn't say anything needs work in
Negative?
this movie. Honestly.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. I thought they should have won Best Picture over Argo. You haven't seen Argo, so you can't say.
Is it with Ben Affleck?
Ben Affleck, yeah.
I haven't seen it.
No, I think it's more memorable. Would have been interesting to have like two slave movies win back
It
to
was
back.
12 Years Slave.
12 Years a Slave.
What, one
Right?
before?
By the way, yeah, no, the one after.
Oh, okay.
And Samuel L. Jackson said Django Unchained is a more realistic depiction of slavery than 12 Years a Slave.
Really?
And I was like, don't know about that. Yeah. So, do you like this movie, Jazmin?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you rate it?
A B.
A B?
Yeah.
All right. Like an 8 out of 10 then?
Yeah.
Let's do 5 stars.
I'm really
4
good.
out of 5. Is that what you would give it?
No.
That's a B.
Let's do percentages. Is that a B?
I think that's a B.
No, it's like an 8.
3.5 is a 7.
Oh yeah, I guess a 4. See, I feel like when it's 5 stars, I usually rate it lower.
I give it 5. I give it 5 out of 5 stars.
5 out
First
of 5
Quentin
stars?
Tarantino movie I saw and I fell in love with it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, it's 50 minutes of discussion.
Sounds good.
Did you enjoy that discussion, Jen?
Sure.
Would you be willing to do this again?
I guess.
What do you mean you guess?
I mean, it's not like I have a lot going on.
You don't have a choice.
I do.
Forcing you to do this.
That's what you think.
So.
I mean, okay. I feel like you should preface me about like the points we're gonna talk about, because then maybe I would have bothered to pay attention more.
That's generally what it's gonna look like.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a writing critique sheet I used to do for my creative writing
Yeah,
class. So
sure.
I'll just do those points, and then I'll be like, okay,
And
I'll have a
yeah.
template kind of made, and I'll kind of know kind of what I have to talk
Yeah.
about.
And then you'll, hopefully that lead you to think more about movies. Just to get you to think more about movies. And think of them in a different way. Get you to love movies again. If you're listening to this, it's
You
same
probably
for you.
hate
You
movies.
probably hate movies.
You're
Hopefully,
"Ugh."
the target audience would be people like barely getting into it.
Mhm.
Like people who listen to the Weekly Planet or something like that. Sort of more mainstream. That's what we're covering, mainstream movies.
Mm.
Like I'm not gonna start you off with like Jazmin, which is a 4-hour movie where you watch a single mother do chores around the house.
That's fun.
I'm not gonna do that to you. I don't think you're ready for that yet.
No.
I wouldn't even start you off with like something like The Tree of Life.
Yeah.
Mainstream movies. That's how I started with mainstream movies, and then we get maybe we'll get less mainstream.
Yeah.
We go more indie,
Mm-hmm.
and then finally maybe we'll watch a Criterion movie.
A what?
A Criterion movie.
Never heard of that.
Criterion Collection preserves movies, and they do a lot of artsy stuff. So
Interesting.
yeah, so that's sort of the trajectory that I'm working with here.
Sounds good.
Trying to get you to love movies. This is about you. This podcast is focused on you. Yeah.
So what are we watching next?
Next week we are watching Inside Llewyn Davis,
Llewyn Davis.
which stars Oscar Isaac, directed by Joel and Ethan Coen, and came out in 2013. Also one of the early movies in my early loving film.
Really? I've
This
never
is-
heard you mention this
like when-
movie ever.
When this is when I watched this when I considered myself a film buff. I watched this when I had long hair when I was 14.
Oh man.
And one of my favorite movies that year. I'm showing you movies that I really liked from each respective year.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So that's all we have. You don't have any social media? I don't have any social media that I want people to
Are
know.
we changing the Twitter handle?
We're not gonna have a Twitter.
Okay, we're not gonna have a Twitter.
Just delete the Twitter from our old podcast. Yeah. We'll talk about this later.
What's gonna happen with the old episodes? Are they just
they're
being
still-
rebranded?
No. This is a different podcast
Oh, okay. Cool,
altogether.
cool.
So,
Oh, my work and effort. Just kidding.
so, I don't have an ending in mind. It'd be cool if we had a song. You have a guitar back there.
I don't know how to play the guitar.
You have a ukulele somewhere.
It's in my room.
It'd be nice if you can create a little note. Like a
Okay.
little 10, 20 second note. 20 seconds, let's say. And then just play it out.
That'll be my homework for next week, or do you want me to do it now?
Doesn't matter. All right.
Next week.
Next
we'll
week.
have a little
we'll have
jingle.
I was trying to find the logo, but right now I just have something I created in PowerPoint.
Sounds good.
So, thanks for listening. Thank you so much. An hour is a really long time.
Yeah.
This is a 3-hour long movie. We could have talked about this for much longer, but we didn't.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you.
What?
I've been, all right. So goodbye.
night.
Jazmin.
goodbye.
I read this say, Jazmin.
Goodbye, Ogo. Have a
Alright.
good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Your black ass. Django! You uppity son of a... He's the guy who's the talk of the town. with the restless guy. Don't you bother to fool him around. Keeps the varmints on the run, boy. Keeps the varmints on the run.